Okay, so welcome again, Elaine, to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So let's jump into today's email with an inspirational quote, some teachings related to that, and you can read the quote for us. All of that will lead us nicely into the lesson. Okay, so you can read that headline quote from the preface of A Course in Miracles.
The world we see merely reflects our own eternal frame of reference. The dominant ideas, wishes, and emotions in our minds. Projection makes perception. Text introduction to chapter 21. We look inside first, decide the kind of world we want to see, and then project that world outside, making it the truth as we see it. We make it true by our interpretations of what it is we are seeing. If we are using perception to justify our own mistakes, our anger, our impulses to attack, our lack of love, in whatever form it may take, we will see a world of evil, destruction, malice, envy, and despair. All this we must learn to forgive, not because we're being good and charitable, but because we are seeing what we are seeing is not true.
Yeah, so today's quote from the preface to the text tells us exactly what the world is. Just a projection of our own dominant ideas, desires, and emotions. And also why we should forgive or let go of it. Not because we are so spiritual or enlightened, as it says, but which can be just another false self-concept that causes more false projections and perceptions, but because nothing that we perceive outside of us is real. Therefore, to judge it as real by reacting to it emotionally is to make the mistake of reinforcing the seeming reality of this world and the false separated self-concept that made it up. In truth, we cannot judge anyone or anything because what we are judging isn't really there, and so any seeming results of our judgment must also be false. This is what Yeshua tells us very explicitly in this passage from section 10 of the Manual for Teachers. So we can read that.
It is necessary for the teacher of perfect love to realize not that he should not judge, but that he cannot. In giving up judgment, he is merely giving up what he did not have. He gives up on illusion, or better, he has an illusion of giving up.
No, he gives up an illusion.
Oh, he gives up an illusion, or better, he has an illusion of giving up. He has actually merely become more honest, recognizing that judgment was always impossible for him. He no longer attempts it. This is no sacrifice. On the contrary, he puts himself in a position where judgment through him rather than by him can occur. And this judgment is neither good nor bad. It is the only judgment there is. And it is only one. Perfect love's extension is innocent, and sin does not exist.
Yeah, so what's that saying is that the one true judgment is that everyone is completely innocent because nothing they seem to say or do has really happened, and therefore has no effect on their or your true reality. which is eternally unchangeable, therefore invulnerable to whatever you may think has happened. So if you can accept this fundamental premise of Yeshua's teachings, then everything you perceive in the seemingly external universe must logically be false. Therefore, your ability to forgive or to let go ultimately depends on faith. Will you accept the premise or not? That's really what it comes down to. Do you accept the fundamental premise that only oneness is true, or not? If you don't, then you must deny it and accept that separation is true. You state that another way, will you let go of your mental and emotional attachment to the people, things, events, and circumstances that seem to exist in this world, which means you must have accepted the premise that they are not true? Or will you allow the ego's reactive thoughts and emotions that cover over or negate the truth that only pure formless awareness of perfect love is real to dominate your mind and drown out the Holy Spirit's voice that reminds you of the truth? Those are the choices. So if you read and you reflect on the mind training lessons from the ACIM Workbook, use it to help you let go of negative thoughts and emotions such as anger and attack thoughts, or what the code calls lack of love in whatever form it may take. So fear, anxiety, rage, anger, irritation, jealousy, and so on and so forth. We know these emotions too well. You accept the premise that none of these thoughts and emotions are real, and neither are the people, things, events, and circumstances that seem to justify them. So in any festive season, which is upon us now, it's all too easy as we buy presents and copious amounts of food and drink to satisfy our desires and the body's apparent needs. When we spend time with family and friends who seem to warrant your judgment, we mesmerized by the world of form that's really an optical delusion of consciousness, as Einstein called it, and forget the true message of Christmas, which is to remind us of the eternal transcendent self, or Christ, and a reality it knows is true, but Yeshua identified completely with and was born into the world to teach us. So we lose touch, we lose sight of what Christmas is really all about. Most people, it's a holiday, time to have some fun. If you've got kids, then there's presents involved, there's eating and drinking, relaxation, holidays. But very few people, remember the transcendent self, the true self, or the Christ. And that is what it's really all about. So it's called Christ Mass. Right? It's the Mass of Christ. It's designed to bring you into the presence of your true self. That's what the Christ is. So true selfness is what it could be called. But when you look at it that way, it's a very different perspective on Christmas. This should be about coming to know your true self more fully. So that leads us nicely into our mind training lesson from Workbook Lesson 311, as well as a new insert that answers the question, what is the last judgment? So let's go into that insert, shall we? So bring it up in the document. Okay, so this one is a new insert. 10, we're on insert 10, I believe. That asks and answers the question, what is the last judgment? Which was referred to in the previous insert on the second coming. He mentioned the last judgment.
Oh, yeah.
Now he clarifies it and says, well, this is exactly what it means. So it's another one of those traditional Christian terms that he's going to use for teaching purposes, and he's going to clarify its meaning and tell us and what it actually means. Okay, so what is the last judgment?
Christ's second coming gives the Son of God this gift to hear the voice for God proclaim that what is false, and what is true has never changed. My true self's second coming gives the extension of perfect love this gift to hear the voice for perfect love proclaim that what is false, and what is true has never changed. And this, the judgment, is which perception ends. And this is the judgment in which perception ends. At first you see a world that has accepted this as true, projected from a now corrected mind. At first I perceive a world that has accepted this is true. This is true, projected from a new corrected mind.
Now corrected mind, yeah.
From now a corrected mind. And with this holy sight, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears, its goal accomplished and its mission done. And with this innocent vision, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears, its goal accomplished and its mission done.
Okay, so read it from the top in the alternative, please.
My true self's second coming gives the extension of perfect love this gift, to hear the voice, for perfect love proclaim that what is false and what is true has never changed. And this is the judgment in which perception ends. At first I perceive a world that has accepted this as true, projected from a now corrected mind. And with this innocent vision, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears, its goal accomplished and its mission done. So, yeah, it's about the true self's second coming. It's the true self's second coming, which gives our extension of perfect love, also the gift to hear the voice of perfect love and tell them what is false and what is true has never changed. And this is where judgment and its perception ends. So now we see the world from a corrected mind, projected from a now corrected mind. So now we're in this innocent vision. We give a silent blessing, and then after that it disappears, and therefore the goal is accomplished and done, mission done.
Yeah. So when our perception has changed, the last judgment on the world is the judgment that says this is false. All of it's false. I accept that. I'm not trying to make any of it true. When I've finally decided that, then perception ends, because I don't need perception anymore. Decided I'm done with it. First, I perceive a world as accepted as true, projected from a now corrected mind. Yeah, so we are projecting the world from our minds, but if the mind is corrected, then we perceive it differently, project and perceive differently, and our reality is different. Or with this innocent vision, perception gives a silent blessing and then disappears. Its goal accomplished and its mission done. So the last judgment, again, he's talking about letting go. It's the final letting go that leads to God, leads to the true self first, and then to the pure formless awareness of perfect love in alternative language. So if you look at in this diagram. Where are we? I'm going to do it that way because it's probably going to. So the last judgment is part of this, is the final act of letting go. When you finally let go of the world, there's no more attachment to it. You know, that's then the last judgment. That establishes you fully in the Christ, the true self, and then he says God will just take the final step, and you'll just merge back in to this pure formless awareness of perfect love. So the last judgment would be the final act of letting go, the final forgiveness or correction that's needed to then make way for pure formless awareness of perfect love to come into your mind and just completely fill your mind. Okay. Any other thoughts on that paragraph? Happy with that? Let's go to number 2 then.
The final judgment on the world contains no condemnation. The final judgment on the world contains no condemnation, for it sees the world as totally forgiven, without sin, and wholly purposeless. It perceives the world as totally unreal, without sin, and wholly purposeless. Without a cause, and now without a function in Christ's sight, it merely slips away to nothingness. Without a cause, and now without a function in my true self's sight, it merely slips away to nothingness. There it was born, and there it ends as well. There it was born, and there it ends as well. And all the figures in the dream in which the world began go with it. And all the figures in the dream in which the world began go with it. Bodies now are useless and will therefore fade away, because the Son of God is limitless. Bodies are now useless and will therefore fade away, because the extension of perfect love is limitless.
And then from the top, an alternative.
The final judgment on the world contained no condemnation, for it perceives the world as totally unreal, without sin, and wholly purposeless, without a cause, and now without a function in my true self's sight. It merely slips away to nothingness. There it was born, and there it ends as well. And all the figures in the dream in which the world began go with it. Bodies are now useless and will therefore fade away, because the extension of perfect love is limitless. So,
Okay, what's it saying there? Summary.
So now that we're in the final judgment, it contains no condemnation, and it sees the world as totally unreal, without any sin or any it's purposeless, and it's without a cause and now a function of my true self. So it just slips away into nothingness. So there it was born, and there it ends as well. So all the figures in the dream in which the world began go with it. So bodies are now useless, so they fade away, and then we become the extension of perfect love and limitless.
Yeah. Pointing to the end of the dream, it's not needed anymore. Bodies aren't needed. The dream fades away. The figures in the dream go. And we realize we're limitless. You know, we don't need bodies if we're limitless. So again, he's pointing us out of the world, transcending the world. And the final judgment, I think the key point here is it contains no condemnation. It just perceives the world as totally unreal. without sin and wholly purposeless. So the world is just unreal. It doesn't exist. There's no sin. If it has no reality, there can be no sin. And there's no purpose to it. So from this point of view, there's no cause to it. There's no function to the world. There's no purpose for being here. It merely slips away to nothingness. And that's where it came from. It was a thought of nothing, and it returns to nothing. And everything that came from nothing simply disappears. So he's pointing us beyond time to the end of the dream, and again teaching us the transcendent nature of reality through this idea of the last judgment. The last judgment will bring this about. And once we finally judge the world as pointless, useless, wholly purposeless, and there's no point to being here, then we are free in to merge into our true awareness. All right, makes sense.
Yes. You who believe that God's last judgment would condemn the world to hell along with you, accept the holy truth. God's judgment is the gift of the correction he bestowed on all your errors, freeing you from them and all effects they ever seem to have. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping there. I've gone.
Yeah, just read the alternative as well.
Yeah. I who believed that perfect love's last judgment would condemn everyone's victimhood and suffering along with me, and now accept the pure truth. Perfect love's judgment is the gift of its correction of all my errors, freeing me from them and all effects they ever seem to have. To fear God's saving grace is but to fear complete release from suffering, return to peace, security, and happiness, and union with your own identity. To fear perfect love's saving grace is just to fear complete release from suffering and return to peace, security, happiness, and union with my own identity.
Yeah, and read it from the top in the alternative.
I, who believe that perfect love's last judgment would condemn everyone to victimhood and suffering along with me, can I now accept this pure truth? Perfect love's judgment is the gift of its correction of all my errors, freeing me from them and all effects they ever seem to have. To fear perfect love's freeing awareness is only to fear complete release from suffering and return to peace, security, happiness, and union with my own identity.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
Well, we believe that perfect love's last judgment was to condemn everyone into victimhood and suffering, along with myself. However, perfect love's judgment is the gift of its correction of all our errors, so freeing us from them and all its effects. So to fear this perfect love's freeing awareness is only to fear complete release from suffering and return back to peace, security, and back to our true identity.
Yeah. So why would you fear your release? The last judgment's a very fearful concept in the ego's judgment, because in traditional Christianity, it's assumed that there's going to be some kind of apocalyptic judgment by God, and the sinners are all going to be condemned to hell. You know, the righteous will go to heaven and the sinners will go to hell. That's been a traditional interpretation. If you're familiar with the book of Revelation, you know, there's a lot of that that kind of language in there. And you know, he's just saying, no, it's actually God's last judgment is that everyone's innocent. Everyone is love, everyone's innocent. It corrects all your errors, freeing you from all the effects they ever seem to have. And to fear this is just to fear your own freedom, your release, your happiness, everything that you really want. So just, you know, accept that the last judgment it leads to ultimate liberation and freedom. It's not a fearful concept at all. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
All right. Next paragraph.
God's final judgment is as merciful as every step in his appointed plan to bless his Son and call him to return to the eternal peace he shares with him. Perfect love's final judgment is an unconditional loving as every step in its appointed plan to bless extension and call it to return to the eternal peace perfect love shares with it. Be not afraid of love.
That was perfect love's final judgment is as unconditionally loving.
Oh, right. I am not afraid of love. For it alone can heal all sorrow, wipe away all tears, and gently awaken from his dream of pain the Son whom God acknowledges as his. For only this judgment can heal all my sorrow, wipe away all my tears, and gently waken from my dream of pain the extension whom perfect love acknowledges as its. Be not afraid of this. Be not afraid of this. Salvation asks you to give it welcome. Awakening asks that I welcome it. And the world awaits your glad acceptance, which will set it free. And the world awaits my glad acceptance that will set it free. Perfect love's final judgment is an unconditional loving as every step in its appointed plan to bless its extension and call it to return to the eternal peace perfect love shares with it. I am not afraid of love, for only this judgment can heal all my sorrow, wipe away all my tears, and gently waken from my dream of pain the extension whom perfect love acknowledges as its. I am not afraid of this. Awakening asks that I welcome it, and the world awaits my glad acceptance that I will set it free.
Yeah, that will set it free.
Yeah.
Okay, so summary of that. What's he saying in paragraph 4?
Well, perfect love's final judgment is unconditional loving.
Yeah, unconditional love. So that's mercy. Unconditional love is we use to substitute for mercy.
And it's asking us not to be afraid of this love, because judgment can only heal all the sorrow. and awakening should be welcomed, so the world can await with glad acceptance, and then we are set free.
Yeah. So only the last judgment. This is the willingness to let go completely. Just another name for complete letting go. To judge the world as it is. An illusion, completely pointless, completely false. There's no reality to it. So you don't need to honor it, react to it mentally, emotionally, and give it reality by your reactions. And only this kind of judgment, the complete letting go of your belief in the separation, will heal. And it exhorts us not to be afraid, not afraid of this. Awakening just asks that I welcome it. Gentle awakening into truth of who I really am. All awaits my glad acceptance and will set it free. So as I change my own mind, so the world changes. It's always the message. Sole responsibility in miracle work is to accept it one for himself, accept it for yourself, and then accepting it for the world. Okay. Any other thoughts or comments or questions on this one, number 4?
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. So number 5, the last paragraph of this insert.
This is God's final judgment. You are still my holy son, forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved, as limitless as your creator and completely changeless and forever pure. This is perfect love's final judgment. You are still my wholly aware extension, forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved, as limitless as your source, and completely changeless and forever pure. Therefore, awaken and return to me. Therefore, awaken and return to me. I am your Father, and you are my Son. I am your source, and you are my extension. This is perfect love's final judgment. You are still my wholly aware extension, forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved, as limitless as your source and completely changeless and forever pure. Therefore, awaken and return to me. I am your source, and you are my extension. So it's just talking about the perfect love's final judgment and just saying, please return back to me. I'm your source and you're my extension. And with that, we are limitless, forever loving, innocent, loved, and completely changeless and forever pure. So, yeah.
Yeah, very, very inspiring final paragraph there. Final, you're still my holy aware extension. Maybe we should change that to still my innocent extension. We're not innocent, forever loving, forever innocent. my pure, maybe, my pure extension. So in that purity, we're forever innocent, forever loving, and forever loved, as limitless as your source, completely changeless, forever pure. Therefore, awaken and return to me. I am your source and you are my extension. We should change that. My pure extension. Maybe we'll just leave it, actually. Only aware. Leave it as it was, I think. Yeah, so the last judgment restores us to, again, to the awareness of who we really are, which is eternal, which is one with our source, and our source just reassures us that this is the case. We are really one. There is no judgment, there's no condemnation, there's no sin and guilt. Those are just nightmares of the goat mind. It's all okay. Okay. Happy with that tonight?
Yeah, it's good.
So in summary, what would you say? Like, summarize, someone said, well, what is the last judgment from a Course in Miracles perspective? How would you answer that?
We just return back, get yourself back to your original state of perfect love, because this offers limitless, free, loving, no suffering. So it's.
And the last judgment, what is that then?
The last judgment is your wholly aware moment of being awakened.
Well, it's when you finally let go, isn't it? The final letting go of the world.
Yeah, obviously do that.
Last judgment is like, okay, I'm willing to accept finally that the world is unreal. The world offers me nothing. I'm not attached to any of it. I don't want any part of it. I'm willing to let it all go and transcend it, go back to pure formless awareness of perfect love or heaven. So the final judgment is the precursor to the awakening to who you really are, and that's the true self, and then the true self, once you're fully established in that invites this experience of total love, we call pure formless awareness of perfect love, into your mind. And the Course describes it as, well, that's just going to be God taking the final step. And you just merge back into that awareness. You become that whole complete awareness. All right. So the last judgment, just another teaching aid in helping us to change our mind, completely let go, and find our true self and pure formless awareness of perfect love. Another nice insert. We've got another 9 days of this, so we'll go through it again for sure. All right, so that prepares us nicely for the lesson. Today's lesson is lesson. So this lesson is lesson 311. I judge all things as I would have them be. If you can read that in the.
I judge all things as I. Yeah, I judge all things as I would have them be. I judge everything as I want it to be.
Yeah, so all things as I would have. He uses the would a lot in the Course, and we translate it as want. I want something to be. I would have them be means I want it to be. So I judge everything as I want it to be. So it's not, judgment. The rule of judgment is that you don't judge things as they are. You judge things as you want them to be. So in other words, judgment and your self-concept what you think you want and need are completely bound up, intertwined. Okay, so then you read the first paragraph in the original and then the alternative, sentence by sentence, please.
Judgment was made to be a weapon used against the truth. Judgment was made to be a weapon used against the truth. It separates what is being used against and sets it off as if it were a thing apart. It separates what it is being used against and sets it off as if it were a thing apart. And then it makes of it what you would have it be. And then it makes of it what I want it to be. It judges what it cannot understand because it cannot see totality and therefore judges falsely. It judges what it cannot understand because it cannot perceive totality and therefore judges falsely. Let us not use it today and make a gift of it to him who has a different use for it. I will not use it today, but rather make it a gift of it to perfect love, which has a different use for it. He will relieve us of the agony of all the judgments we have made against ourselves and re-establish peace of mind by giving us God's judgment of his Son. It will relieve me of the agony of all the judgments I have made against myself and re-establish peace of mind by giving me perfect love's judgment of its extension.
And then from the top, in the alternative.
Yeah. Judgment was made to be a weapon used against the truth. It separates what is being used against and sets it off as if it were a separate thing. And then it makes of it what I want it to be. It judges what it cannot understand because it cannot perceive totality and therefore judges falsely. I will not use it today, but rather make a gift of it to perfect love, which has a different use for it. It will relieve me of the agony of all the judgments I have made against myself and re-establish peace of mind by giving me perfect love's judgment of its extension.
Okay, what's he saying here? Summary.
Well, judgment has been used as a weapon against the truth. So it separates what it is being used against and then sets it off as if it were a separate thing. And then it does what it wants with it, as it will. It makes of it what I want it to be. So it then judges what it cannot understand. So it then perceives totality and therefore judges falsely. So he's asking us not to do this today, but rather make a gift to a perfect, make a gift of it to perfect love. So it has a different use for it. So it will relieve us of the agony of all the judgments we've made so that we can re-establish our peace of mind by giving us the perfect love's judgment of its extension. So it's, yeah.
You see, judgment, what judgment does is it makes the illusions real. That's the key
Biggest
problem
weapon.
with judgment. Yeah, it's the ego's weapon, because by your judgment, whatever you've judged becomes real. Therefore, it's separate from you. You are separate from it. You now identify yourself as a separate person that is judging this person or thing, whatever it is, event, circumstance that's outside of you, that seems to be separate from you. And so it reinforces the separate identity of the ego in quite a big way. So, non-judgment, as they call it in Buddhist practice, or forgiveness, as we call it in A Course in Miracles terms, is absolutely essential to get around that. You've got to stop making the world real and your self-concept real through your judgments. This is the only way out. Which is why all the authentic spiritual teachings talk about a letting go process or a non-judgmental process where you can just perceive these things and through the lost judgment, release them. They must be let go of. Okay?
Yeah.
You happy with number one?
Yeah. Yeah. Father.
Okay.
Yeah. Father, we wait with open mind today to hear your judgment of the Son you love. My source, I wait with open mind today to hear your judgment of the extension you love. We do not know him and we cannot judge. I do not know it and I cannot judge. And so we let your love decide what he whom you created as your Son must be. And so I let the love decide what I, whom you extended as your extension, must be.
And then from the top.
My source, I wait with open mind today to hear your judgment of the extension you love. I do not know it and cannot judge. And so I let your love decide what I, whom you extend as your extension, must be. So it's
So
just,
what's in that one?
well, we as the extension of the source will accept the judgment from the source. And so we will not judge and we'll let love decide what I, whom extended it, well, what we must be. And so I let the love decide what I, whom you extend as your extension must be. So we let the love decide on judging rather than the other.
Yeah, and love's only judgment is that you're innocent, you're whole, you're complete, you're innocent, you never sinned, you're not guilty, you never did anything wrong, you're whole, complete, and perfect, just as you are. I mean, that's all that perfect love judges. Completely non-judgmental.
There's an example, like obviously my extension to Dave this morning after a spat. Would that be something? I let love decide rather than all the petty squabbles.
Yeah, exactly. So I let your love decide what I must be, and then that in a practical practical terms in a relationship, that means you might extend love to someone. You go, okay, well, I'm not going to hold a
Despite the,
grudge.
yeah,
I'm not
not
going to,
judge.
I'm not going to resent or be angry. I'm going to let go because that's what God is. God is completely, unconditionally loving. There is no judgment
Yeah,
in this awareness. So if you want to be like God in this awareness, you must be unconditionally loving.
yeah.
And of course, it's the hardest thing for human beings because
Oh yes, because the ego
we're so
is
used to
difficult.
judging, we're so used
Yeah,
to
it
conditions
is.
and judgment. No, 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 this you've done this, you haven't done this, and
Yeah,
then our ego might make a judgment on it and go, okay, well then you're
condemn.
whatever, you're a write-off, you're useless, or I'm going to hold a grudge forever.
Yeah,
So my wife was saying
goes on
she's
and on.
she's speaking
Yes.
to she's speaking to
Yeah.
her sister-in-law, and she said, "Well, that's just unforgivable. I can never forgive that." And it's
Oh,
like, well, it actually wasn't such a major thing that the person had done, but
right.
this is what people do. They hold these grudges and these
Mm,
grievances for life, and they say, "Well, it's just unforgivable. I'll never forget that." I mean, that's sin. That now
mm,
entrenches the mistake as a sin. It becomes permanent and real, and it's punishable. In your mind, that person deserves your condemnation
mm,
because of their sin. And this is what sin and guilt are. And that keeps the ego very much alive and well. And it
mm,
keeps the pure formless awareness of perfect love outside of your mind, buried, still there, but you're not aware of it because judgment covers it over. When I had my Vipassana experience, it was
mm,
so clear to me, absolutely crystal clear, that this world was just the excuse, the justification for all of my judgments.
mm,
It was set up precisely to give me some justification to judge and to cover over this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that, is the only purpose of the world. So the dramas, the characters, the people, events, the circumstances, it's all just designed to give you apparently good justification for your grievances and your anger and your fear, and anything will do to cover over that awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. As Yeshua is teaching us, the world's just a projection of the ego mind, designed to perpetuate that mind and keep you believing in that identity forever. And it's going to take some undoing, saying, well, this is why you
mm,
have to be pretty radical about your letting go.
mm,
So it's only a complete letting go that's going to work. If you kind of do a bit of letting go and you still hold on to your belief in the reality of the world, then you hold on to your belief in the reality of your ego, the separate self, and it's maintained. And when you lay your body aside, that entity, that identity in your mind will cause you to come back so that you can believe that you're a separate self, and you can have lots of justifications in this world for judging, which makes yourself seemingly separate and real. And that's all that's going on here. That's what the world is about. That's what it's for. It's the justification for the ego's drama. It keeps it going.
mm.
And you see it, with your drama in with the car.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
ego loves it. It just keeps it going
Oh
because it
yes.
it it, it loves it juices the drama. It's like, great, we'll just keep this
Mm,
drama going for as long as possible because it keeps everyone believing in the ego and
mm-hmm,
thinking and feeling egoic thoughts and feelings and emotions, and
mm,
keeps them very separate, and keeps pure formless awareness of perfect love well away. Love can't enter into all of that drama. And so it doesn't want to solve the problem. It wants to continue the problem because that serves the ego's
yes,
purposes.
it does. Mm,
And you've seen that. That's why it doesn't solve. That's why it's been going on for whatever, 15 months, because it's like the
Mm,
characters involved have not let go. And they are on both sides, they're very attached to the drama and they're using it
mhm,
to feed their ego. And essentially, the ego is using them as puppets in the
mm,
situation.
mhm,
And they're not aware of that. And so they
mm.
actually want to keep it going.
Yeah. Mhm. Mm. Yeah, I believe that.
Even though, apparently it's horrible and we this is awful and we're suffering, but yet there's this curious addiction to the suffering. Let's carry it on
Mm,
then and just keep flagellating ourselves. And you see it, you've observed it, haven't you?
mm. Yeah,
So
throughout.
it's a good lesson for you. It's like, well, this is how it works, and it's using the situation for its purpose. And the only way out of that bind is to let it go. So you as the miracle worker and the teacher of perfect love have to be the example and say, okay, only the complete letting go of this. This is not real. The situation's not real. The people, the characters aren't real. The car's not real. The whole drama is just an illusion. And I don't believe in any of it.
Mm,
And then you can stay in clarity and peace, even as it's unfolding in front of you, and you can be an example of that to the others who are in it. And maybe you can bring some sanity back into their mind.
mhm,
But whatever you do, if you do that, you're contributing to the resolution of the problem because that is what will resolve the problem.
mhm,
When you say, I no longer want the ego's thoughts and emotions, that this is triggering in me, and you let them go, and you're genuine in that, then there's no reason for the situation to continue. And
mm,
so then it stops because you've changed your mind. But as long as your subconscious believes there's a reason for it to continue, then it will be invested in continuing it. And so it goes,
mhm.
continues, and there's no healing. So remember, the ego does not want healing. It does not want a positive resolution of some
No.
of any situation. It does not want healing. It wants the maximum drama and pain and suffering and misery possible that it can extract, because in that drama and in the pain and the suffering and the misery lies its identity. That makes it real. When people minds are thinking those thoughts and feeling those emotions, the ego is strengthened. That's its existence. Completely warped, twisted. I mean, you go, what an insane entity, but that's what it is. And so fortunately, this teaching is teaching us this, so that you can be a bit wiser and say, okay, well, I got to wise up and not be caught up in this. And no matter what, I must let it go, no matter what, because there are no exceptions to the truth, even if I'm tempted to make them. All right. So any other thoughts
Mhm.
on this, on the lesson?
That's good.
I judge all things as I would have them be, or I judge everything as I want it to be. And that's how it works. I desire something and then I project it and I create it that way. And then I go, oh, well, there we go, there it is.
Mhm,
And then I judge against it and go, well, this is awful. But actually, you set it up in the first place. You just did it unconsciously.
mm,
So you set your own trap. And what we have to do to awaken is realize that game, the ego's game, and go, that's just crazy. I'm not stupid anymore. I'm not gonna allow my mind to play that game, be hijacked,
mm.
and just be a pawn in its game of insanity, insane game of victimhood and suffering. All right, so that's the lesson done. Shall we do a meditation on it? Let's just see how.
Do you want to do
uh,
that at the end? Because I'll end up
Oh, yeah, no, dropping
nodding
off.
off.
Let's just see how long this one is. 6 paragraphs. Okay,
John,
so it'll probably take us an hour or so.
yeah, John
So
might
take us to
join
9
us.
after 9.
Is John joining
He
us?
may.
Yeah.
I don't know. He may.
Yeah.
Doesn't join every night, generally, but you never know. He may around this time, is usually after 8. Okay.
Mhm.
So we'll come back and do the med. If you can go to
Ah,
9:30, and they'll give us time for the med as well. So
we'll get the med in as well there.
if we go to 9:30, yeah, so probably to 6 paragraphs. So it'll probably take us an hour to do.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, so this one is Manual for Teachers. We're nearing the end, actually. It's the penultimate section, Manual for Teachers, which answers the question, what is the resurrection? So if you can read that first paragraph in the original and the alternative line by line, please.
Very simply, the resurrection is the overcoming or surmounting of death. Very simply, the resurrection is the overcoming or surmounting of death. It is a reawakening or a rebirth, change of mind about the meaning of the world. It is a reawakening or a rebirth, a change of mind about the meaning of the world. It is the acceptance of the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the world's purpose, the acceptance of the at-one-ment for oneself. It is the acceptance of the remembrance of perfect love's interpretation of the world's purpose, and the acceptance of the at-one-ment for myself. It is the end of dreams of misery and the glad awareness of the Holy Spirit's final dream. It is the acceptance of the remembrance of perfect love's interpretation of the world's purpose and the acceptance of the at-one-ment for myself. It is the end of dreams of misery and the glad awareness of the Holy Spirit's final dream. It is the end of dreams of misery and the glad awareness of the remembrance of perfect love's final dream. It is the recognition of the gifts of God. It is the recognition of the gifts of perfect love. It is the dream in which the body functions perfectly, having no function except communication. It is the dream in which the body functions perfectly, having no function except communication. 7. In this, it is the lesson in which learning ends, for it is consummated and surpassed with this. It is the invitation to God to take his final step. It is the invitation to pure formless awareness of perfect love to take its final step. It is the relinquishment of all other purposes, all other interests, all other wishes, and all other concerns. It is the relinquishment of all other purposes, all other interests, and all interests, wishes, and all other concerns. It is the single desire of the Son.
Or the Father.
I'm just trying to see where I am. Oh, yeah. It is the single desire of the Son for the Father. It is the single desire of the extension for its source. Very simply.
Okay, read from the top.
Yeah. Very simply, the resurrection is the overcoming or surmounting of death. It is a reawakening or a rebirth and a change of mind about the meaning of the world. It is the acceptance of the remembrance of perfect love's interpretation of the world's purpose and the acceptance of the at-one-ment for myself. It is the end of dreams of misery and the glad awareness of the remembrance of perfect love's final dream. It is the recognition of the gifts of perfect love. It is the dream in which the body functions perfectly, having no function except communication. It is the lesson in which learning ends, for it is consummated and surpassed with this. It is the invitation to pure formless awareness of perfect love to take its final step. It is the relinquishment of all other purposes, interests, wishes, and concerns. It is the single desire of the extension for its source. So it's saying that
one.
Saying about the resurrection is the overcoming of death, and it's a reawakening or a rebirth, a change of mind of the meaning of the world. So it's an acceptance of this remembrance of perfect love's interpretation of the world, and to accept the at-one-ment for ourselves. So it's the end of dreams and misery, and it's the remembrance of perfect love's final dream. So in its dream, the body functions perfectly, having no function except for communication. So this is the lesson where learning ends. And it's the invitation for pure formless awareness of perfect love to take its final step, to relinquish all other purposes, interests, wishes, and concerns. It is the single desire of the extension for its source.
Yeah, so it's again a complete commitment, complete letting go of all the other goals, purposes, interests, wishes, concerns. Saying, I want only this. I want only God, only pure formless awareness of perfect love. The lesson in which learning ends. So we surpass learning, we overcome the need to learn, the resurrection. Really, we talked yesterday about, what is death? So, what is the resurrection? It's the awareness that death isn't real. Death never was real. Death has no reality. And you're able to just laugh at death and go, that's just such a ridiculous idea. The eternal awareness of perfect love, pure formless awareness of perfect love that's eternal, can die, is an absurd idea. So that realization is the resurrection of the mind back into its true state. And letting go of all thoughts of death, which, remember, the ego is just a death wish, so you have to drop the whole ego then. And the single desire, the extension for its source. So when we give up everything else we think we want, we say, I want only God. I want only to know my true self, this true awareness. I want only pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's the single commitment, which then awakens the mind to its source again, and that's the resurrection. So just another terminology. It's related to Christian terminology, the resurrection. What does it mean? He's using these terms to teach us, again, well, whether you call it the resurrection, you call it the awakening, the rebirth, you call it enlightenment, doesn't really matter. It's the complete transcendence of death, awakening to who you really are, as symbolized here. If we go into to this diagram, you see at the top level, once you've resurrected and you fully established in the truth of your formless awareness of perfect love, there is no death. The ego doesn't exist, no duality, and everything that seems to go on in this world just disappears. So that's the resurrection of the mind back into its eternal state of eternal life, where then you realize there's no separation, there's no death. All right. Okay with number one?
Yeah.
Yeah, number two then.
The resurrection is the denial of death, being the assertion of life. The resurrection is the denial of death, being the assertion of life. Thus is all the thinking of the world reversed entirely. In this way, all the thinking of the world is reversed entirely. Life is now recognized as salvation, and pain and misery of any kind perceived as hell. I now recognize life as awakening and perceive pain and misery of any kind as suffering. Love is no longer feared, but gladly welcomed. I no longer fear love, but gladly welcome it. Idols have disappeared, and the remembrance of God shines unimpeded across the world. My false beliefs have disappeared, and the remembrance of perfect love shines unimpeded across the world. Christ's face is seen in every living thing, and nothing is held in darkness apart from the light of forgiveness. I perceive my true self's identity in every living thing, and nothing is held in limited awareness apart from the light of letting go. There is no sorrow still upon the earth. There is no sorrow still upon the earth. There is no, the joy of heaven has come upon it. The joy of the state of pure formless awareness has come upon it. The resurrection is the denial of death, being the assertion of life. In this way, all the thinking of the world is reversed entirely. I now recognize life as awakening and perceive pain and misery of any kind as suffering. I no longer fear love and gladly welcome it. My false beliefs have disappeared, and the remembrance of perfect love shines unimpeded around the world. I perceive my true self's identity in every living thing, and I hold nothing in limited awareness apart from the light of letting go. There is no sorrow still upon the earth. The joy of the state of pure formless awareness has come upon it. So the resurrection is the denial of death, being the assertion of life. So in this respect, all the thinking of the world is reversed entirely. So we now recognize that life is awakening and perceive pain and misery of any kind as suffering. So this is when we no longer fear love, but gladly welcome it. Our false beliefs have disappeared, and our perfect love comes shining in around the world. Seeing our true self's identity in all living things. So I don't hold nothing in limited awareness apart from the light of letting go. So there's no sorrow still left upon the earth. And the joy of the state of pure...
So pointing to a complete state of letting go, the enlightened state, where you see only love, this gentle light of perfect love just shines on everything, and the pain and the suffering and the misery and the death that are still there if you want to perceive them, but in your perception they're gone. You don't see them, because this this love is so intense, it's so strong that it just transcends it. So he's pointing us to the enlightened state of walking in the world but not being of the world, and being completely connected to our source, and the joy of the state of pure formless awareness. No sorrow. So people might go, well, this is unrealistic because the sorrow is still going to be there. Sorrow and pain and suffering, very much part of the human experience. But what he's talking about is the resurrection of your mind into another state in which those thoughts, those beliefs are simply no longer there. So it's an inside job. It's not about changing the world and suddenly everyone, is going to be enlightened and there's going to be no seeming pain and sorrow and suffering on earth. No, that continues in the dream world, but you don't perceive it. That's the only way you're ever going to do it, because if you're waiting for the world to change and all the pain and sorrow and suffering to go away, you can wait a long time. And so it's never happened, and it probably never will happen as long as the ego is still in business and the world still exists. Those will always be there. But your mind can transcend that state. And no sorrow remains upon the earth. No sorrow remains on earth, shall we say. When the state of pure formless awareness has come upon it. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or comments on that one?
Yeah, no, it's clear.
Yeah. Okay, so number 3, you can read it in the original and the alternative.
Yeah. Here the curriculum ends.
Sorry, let's just.
Here the curriculum ends. Yeah. From here on, no directions are needed. From here on, I need no directions. Vision is wholly corrected and all mistakes undone. My vision is wholly corrected and all my mistakes are undone. Attack is meaningless and peace has come. Attack is meaningless and peace has come. The goal of the curriculum has been achieved. I have achieved you can only see the tip of it, but I have achieved the goal of the curriculum. Yeah. Thoughts turn to heaven and away from hell. My thoughts turn to state of pure formless awareness and away from victimhood and suffering. All longings are satisfied for what remains unanswered or incomplete. All my desires have been satisfied for what remains unanswered or incomplete. The last illusion spreads across the world, forgiving all things and replacing all attack. The last illusion spreads across the world, letting go of all things and replacing all attack. The whole reversal is accomplished. The whole reversal is accomplished. Nothing is left to contradict the word of God. Nothing is left to contradict the message of perfect love. There is no opposite to the truth. There is no opposite to the truth. And now the truth can come at last. And now the truth can come at last. How quickly will it come as it is asked to enter and envelop such a world? How quickly will it come as it is asked to enter and envelop such a world?
And then from the top,
the curriculum ends here. From here on, I need no directions. My vision is wholly corrected and all mistakes are undone. Attack is meaningless and peace has come. I have achieved the goal of the curriculum. My thoughts turn to the state of pure formless awareness, away from victimhood and suffering. All my desires have been satisfied. What remains unanswered or incomplete? The last illusion spreads across the world, letting go of all things and replacing all attack. The whole reversal is accomplished. Nothing is left to contradict the message of perfect love. There is no opposition to the truth. And now the truth can come at last. How quickly will it come as it is asked to enter and envelop such a world? So this is where the curriculum ends, and there's no need for directions. So our holy vision has been corrected and all mistakes have been undone. So attack is meaningless because peace has come. So our thoughts turn to the state of pure formless awareness, away from this victimhood and suffering.
And there's nothing left.
Contradict
the message of perfect love.
And
there's no opposition to the truth.
Can come. The question is, when does it come?
When you're ready.
Yeah.
When will enlightenment come? Well, when you're ready to completely let go. Well, that's a process in practice. But if you could completely let go of everything now, then it would be there. So it's possible immediately. Because it's always there. It's been covered over. So someone once asked me, well, when is this going to happen? I said, well, when do you want it to happen? How long do you want it to take? And that's the question. Because it's not something that happens to you, without your conscious intent. It's something that you can bring about by your own letting go. This is the good news. If the enlightenment was completely accidental, we would have to wait a long time for the accident to happen, but we can actually do something about it. And so spiritual practice makes you accident prone. Enlightenment's an accident, but spiritual practice makes you accident prone. So you can do these practices so that you are preparing yourself for the moment when this resurrection happens, the last judgment happens, the resurrection happens simultaneously. You're fully awoken, you get it, and that's the goal of this of the whole curriculum. To get to that point where yes, you really have let it all go, and you experience the pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's the revelation in that moment. So you keep, training, doing the mind training, practicing the lessons to prepare yourself for the coming of that experience. Keep correcting your perception, keep doing the work to open yourself to the resurrection. So he's just talking about a state, completely beyond all illusions. Attack is meaningless, peace has come, there's really nothing else. All of your desires been satisfied, there's no worldly desires left. Last illusion spreads across the world. So the last illusion he's talking about is the last judgment of letting go. Last illusion of letting go. Spreads across the world. Stems, maybe, instead of spreads. Stems around the world. Letting go of all things, replacing all attack. All reversal is accomplished. Nothing is left to contradict the message of perfect love. So this is the perfectly enlightened state. This is the Course is leading us to. She's describing here. No opposition to the truth. Pointing us into this transcendent state, which is the resurrected state. That's the state beyond death, where death has no meaning anymore. Victimhood, suffering, all the ways of death, the ego's death wish, all these desires he's talking about. Those desires are part of the death wish. All of that's been let go of. Okay, so good with that?
Yep.
Number 4.
All living hearts are tranquil with a stir of deep anticipation, for the time of everlasting things is now at hand. All living hearts are tranquil with a stir of deep anticipation, for the time of everlasting things is now at hand. There is no death. There is no death. The Son of God is free. The extension of perfect love is free. And in his freedom is the end of fear. And no hidden places. Let me see. Where am I? No hidden places now remain on earth to shelter sick illusions, dreams of fear, misperceptions of the universe. All things are seen in light, and in the light their purpose is transformed and understood. And we, extensions of pure formless awareness of perfect love, rise up from the dust and understand our perfect innocence. And Song of Heaven sounds around the world as it is lifted up and brought into truth. Song of pure formless awareness sounds around the world as it is lifted up and brought to truth. All living hearts are tranquil with a stir of deep anticipation. The time of eternal things is now at hand. There is no death. The extension of perfect love is free, and in my freedom is the end of fear. No hidden places now remain on earth to shelter sick illusions, dreams of fear, and misperceptions of the universe. I perceive, transform, and understand everything in the light of pure formless awareness. And we, the extensions of pure formless awareness of perfect love, rise up from the dust and understand our perfect innocence. The song of pure formless awareness sounds around the world as it is lifted up and brought to truth.
Okay, what's he saying in this one?
It's about the time of eternal things is now at hand, and there's no death. So then this is when the extension of perfect love is free, and the end of fear lies in my freedom. So there's no hidden places that can remain on earth and shelter sick illusions. So I now understand and transform everything in the light of pure formless awareness. And we, as perfect love, rise up from this nothingness of perfect love, of form, and understand our perfect innocence. So it's all brought to the truth.
Oh, again, pointing to the completely enlightened state. We're still in the world, but we're not of the world. And we're walking. This is the state that Yeshua attained and other masters, where they walk in the light. They're the enlightened beings of the world, and none of the darkness of the ego can affect them because they carry the light. They are the light. And this helps awaken the whole world. Rise up from the nothingness of form and understand our perfect innocence. Yeah, so, transcendent language, he's pointing us into the state. He's helping us to feel it, hopefully, experience a taste of it. If we're not quite at that full state, he's giving us a glimpse of it with the words. I think he uses the language beautifully. I mean, it does sort of inspire one. It helps one get a glimpse of that. All right, so any other thoughts on number 4? Are you happy to go to number 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now there are no distinctions. Now there are no distinctions. Differences have disappeared and love looks on itself. Differences have disappeared and love looks on itself. What further sight is needed? What further sight is needed? What remains that vision could accomplish? What remains that vision could accomplish? We have seen the face of Christ, his sinlessness, his love behind all forms, beyond all purposes. I have seen the identity of my true self and its innocence, and love behind all forms and beyond all worldly purposes. Holy are we because His holiness has set us free indeed. I am innocent because its innocence has let me free. Where am
I am innocent because its innocence has set me free.
I am innocent because its innocence has set me free. And we accept His holiness as ours as it is. And I accept its innocence as mine as it is. As God created us, so will we be forever and forever, and we wish for nothing but His will to be our own. The pure formless awareness, perfect love extends us, so I will be eternally, and I wish for nothing except its awareness to be my own. As God created us, so will we be forever and forever, and we wish nothing but His will to be our own. Well, as pure formless awareness of perfect love extends me, so I will be eternally, and I wish for nothing except its awareness to be my own. Illusions of another are lost, for unity of purpose has been found. I have lost my illusions of another awareness, for I have found unity of purpose. Now there is no distinctions. Differences have disappeared, and love looks on itself. What further perception is needed? What remains that vision could accomplish? I have seen the identity of my true self and its innocence and love behind all forms and beyond all worldly purposes. I am innocent because its eternal innocence has set me free, and I accept its innocence as mine and as it is. As pure formless awareness of perfect love extends me, so will I be eternally, and I wish for nothing except its awareness to be my own. I have lost my illusions of another awareness, for I have found unity of purpose. So differences, and there are no distinctions. Differences have disappeared, and love just looks on itself. So we are the identity of the true self and its innocence, and love behind all forms and beyond all worldly purposes. So we're innocent, eternally innocent, and lost all these illusions of another awareness. So we've now finally found the unity of purpose.
Yeah, pointing us to that again, same state he's describing, just pointing us to that transcendent state, the resurrected state. Of mind in which no illusions exist. I've lost my illusions of another awareness, for I've found unity of purpose. So God's will, pure formless awareness of perfect love, is restored into our mind. That's the resurrected mind, and nothing else remains. You don't need perception anymore. Perception slips away when you're in the state at the top level. There is no need for perception. Level one in this pure formless awareness of perfect love, there's no duality, there's no perception, there's not even a true self. There's no need for true perceptions, correct perceptions, no need to change your mind, no need for learning. It just is what it is, pure formless awareness of perfect love, exactly as the name says. And only that. Pure means there's nothing else, no other awareness. So the resurrected mind has attained that state, the state of revelation, and remains rooted in that, even while it might continue to walk in the world and still perceive the world for a while, but it remains rooted in the true self, the Christ. Which is why Yeshua was called the Christ, because he walked as that awakened being in the world and demonstrated the power of that in the world. He's asking us to do the same. Okay? Okay to number 5, Elaine? You go to number 6.
These things await us all, but we have not prepared as yet to welcome them with joy. These experiences await us all, but I am not prepared as yet to welcome them with joy. As long as my mind remains possessed of evil dreams, the thought of hell is real. As long as my mind is possessed by evil dreams, the thought of victimhood and suffering is real. God's teachers have the goal of awakening the minds of those asleep and seeing there the vision of Christ's face take the place of what they dream. Perfect love's teachers have the goal of awakening the minds of those asleep and perceiving there the vision of their true self's identity to take the place of what they dream. The thought of murder is replaced with blessing. The thought of murder is replaced with blessing. Judgment is laid by and given him whose function judgment is. Judgment is let go of and given to it whose function is judgment. And in this final judgment is restored the truth about the Holy Son of God. I am freed, for I have heard perfect love's message and understand the meaning. Have I jumped the gun there? Yeah, he is redeemed, for he was heard of God's word and understood its meaning. He is free because he let God's voice proclaim the truth. I am free because I let perfect love's voice proclaim the truth. And all he sought before to crucify are resurrected with him by his side as he prepares with them to meet his God. And everyone I sought to crucify before is resurrected with me by its side as I prepare to enter pure formless awareness of perfect love with them. So these experiences await us all, but we're not as yet ready for them.
Yeah.
So while the mind's possessed with evil dreams and thoughts of victimhood and suffering is real, this is why we're not prepared to look at it. So we have the perfect love's teachers have the goal of awakening the minds of those asleep and to open them up to their vision of true self's identity and let that take place of their dream. The murder is replaced with blessing. And so judgment is let go of and given to its it whose function is judgment. The final judgment, the truth is restored, and the extension of perfect love. So we're freed, and we've finally heard the message of perfect loves and understood its meaning. So we are free, and we let perfect love's voice proclaim the truth. Yeah. So we're on our way, but not quite there.
Everyone I wanted to condemn was resurrected with me by my side. I prepare to enter pure formless awareness, perfect love with them. So again, pointing us to the transcendent state, beyond all illusions of murder and attack, judgment, final judgment to the last judgment. The truth is restored. And that truth is very simple. We are innocent, we're whole, we're complete. We never sinned. We never did anything wrong. And no one ever did. It's such a simple truth, but in this world where that truth has been denied, it's that's the challenge. It's the struggle to accept that in the face of all illusions that we see, we perceive, and seem to be real. Okay, so any other thoughts on number 6? Should we go into the summary?
Yeah. The resurrection signifies overcoming death, a reawakening and a change of mindset about the world. It involves accepting the remembrance of perfect love's interpretation of the world's purpose and the adornment for myself. This marks the end of dreams of misery and an awareness of the remembrance of perfect love's final dream, along with recognizing the gifts of pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Okay, so what's he saying in that one?
Well, it's just about the resurrection signifies overcoming death and reawakening and change our mindset about the world. So it ends at the end of dreams and misery, and just recognizing the gifts
This is
of
the final
perfect
dream.
love. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the happy dream, the dream of awakening, this is the final dream. We dream with the Holy Spirit, the remembrance of perfect love. That's an essential part of the resurrection. There's a process to it. That's the dreaming of the final dream of this world, to awaken to this truth that lies beyond the dream. And that helps us recognize the gifts of perfect love in the dream. So this is the happy dream. It's the dream where you no longer see any sorrow in the world. He talks about it quite extensively here, the kind of perception you'll have. And this is what the mind training is designed to bring about, that state of mind. So we're in the world, but not of it. And we're ready for pure formless awareness and perfect love to take its final step. And in other words, we merge back into it. So we're prepared to, finally let our body go. It really, at that level, it's not a big deal. I mean, Ramana Maharshi was an enlightened being, was dying of cancer, and he just really wasn't bothered. He remained in his state of moksha or bliss, meditation most of the time. And when his disciples, were sad and saying, "Well, Master, this is sad. We're going to lose you." He was like, "Where am I going? I'm not going anywhere." Because he's not identified his body at all. So, the body not being there is really not a problem for him anyway. And then he said to them, if you learn nothing from all my teaching in all these years, that you still identify with my body. You still think I'm a body, and then of course you think you're a body. And that is to misperceive. Okay, so next paragraph. In this dream, the
In
body's
this
only
dream,
function.
in this dream, the body's only function is communication, symbolizing the end of learning. It's an invitation of pure formless awareness, perfect love, to take the final step and a relinquishment of all other desires, except the single desire of the extension for the source. So
Yes,
it's
what
just
you think?
saying,
What one?
just about the only function for the body is communication in the end of learning, and the invitation for pure formless awareness of perfect love to take its final step. Really, yeah.
Letting go of all other desires. So you can see why this course is so rigorous. Because to get you into pure formless awareness of perfect love means that every other desire, intention, goal, dream, whether they seem to be, good or not, has to go. Because there's only that awareness. It's a singular awareness. When you only want this awareness genuinely, you're willing to let go of everything else, then you're prepared for the coming of that awareness. So your desire for other things brings those other things and experiences into your awareness. Okay, next one, the resurrection rejects death.
The resurrection rejects death, asserting life and reversing worldly thinking. Life is seen as awakening and pain as hell. Love is welcomed, and the remembrance of pure formless awareness of perfect love is clear. My true self's identity is seen in all living things, and everything is seen in the light of letting go. The joy of the state of pure formless awareness arrives on earth. So it's just about the resurrection and how it rejects death and asserting life and reversing world thinking. And the true self's identity is seen in all living things. So this is when the joy of the state of pure formless awareness arrives on earth.
Yeah. That. True self's identity in all living things. And everything. Light of letting go, the joy of the state of pure formless awareness. Arrives on earth. And through my experience. Just read that from the top, if you don't mind.
The resurrection rejects death, asserting life and reversing worldly thinking. A resurrected mind perceives life as awakening and pain as suffering. Love is welcomed, and the remembrance of perfect love is clear. I perceive my true self's identity in all living things, and everything in the light of letting go. The joy of the state of pure formless awareness arrives on earth in and through my experience.
Yeah. It is pointing us to the state beyond all illusions, into the joy, state of being in the world but not of the world. Okay, anything else on that one? Let's go.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, go on. Curriculum of learning ends here.
Curriculum of learning ends here with no further direction needed. Vision is corrected, peace has come, and the goal is achieved. Thoughts turn to the state of pure form awareness, and the last illusion of forgiveness spreads, bringing truth. So it's just the end of all learning and no further direction required. And
Yeah,
all
so
thoughts
that's the end of the curriculum. That's graduation day, really. You don't need to learn any. You've graduated from the School of Earth, and you learned the final lesson, which is that you are perfect, whole, complete, as perfect love extends you, and nothing else. It's a very simple idea, a very simple lesson, but to learn it in this world is the challenge.
It is.
Because this world seems to contradict that entirely. So that's why it requires a lot of mind training. My vision is corrected, peace has come, my goal achieved. My thoughts turn to the state of pure formless awareness. The last illusion of letting go. Encompasses the world. Bringing truth to my awareness. Okay, next one, now all living hearts.
Now all living hearts anticipate the time of everlasting things. The extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love is free, and this freedom fears ends. Everything is seen in pure formless awareness, transforming its purpose. We, as extensions of pure formless awareness of perfect love, acknowledge our perfect innocence. It's just the extension of perfect love is now free, and its fear ends, and everything is seen through the pure formless awareness and transforming the purpose, its purpose. And we acknowledge our perfect innocence from this pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Acceptance and receive everything. extension of perfect love. Knowledge by perfect innocence. Okay, next one.
There is no distinctions. Is that the one? Yeah, there is no distinctions now, only love. We have seen my true self's face and accept our innocence. As extended by perfect love, we wish for nothing but its will. Illusions of another will are lost, and I find unity of purpose. So there's only love now, and there's no distinctions. We can see our true self's face and accept its innocence. And so we're as extended by this perfect love, and we wish for nothing else.
Yeah,
So all
nothing
the
but its
illusions are
awareness.
lost.
Illusions of another awareness are lost, and I find unity of purpose. Yourself, sorry, not face. Let's make that identity. I've seen my true self's identity and accepted my innocence. There it goes. Accepted my true self's identity and accepted my eternal innocence. Extension of perfect love. I wish for nothing but its awareness. Visions of another awareness are lost. So I've lost my illusions of another awareness. And I find unity of purpose. Okay. However,
Yeah, where are we? The last one?
yeah.
Awareness of perfect love is restored, and freedom is found in embracing pure formless awareness of perfect love's truth.
Let's start from here. You missed, sorry. However, we're not yet ready to welcome these truths.
Yeah, however, we are not ready to welcome these truths with joy. As long as evil dreams persist, the thought of victimhood and suffering is real. The goal of pure formless awareness of perfect love teachers is to awaken minds, replacing dreams with a vision of my true self. The thought of harm is replaced with blessing, and judgment is given to the one whose function it is. The truth about the innocent extension of pure formless awareness of perfect love is restored, and freedom is found in embracing pure formless awareness of perfect love's truth. Those previously condemned are now resurrected alongside, preparing to meet pure formless awareness of perfect love. So it's saying about the we're not really welcoming these truths as yet with joy, because as long as we've got these evil dreams of victimhood and suffering and making them real to ourselves. So it's the goal of the perfect loves teachers to awaken the minds, replacing dreams with the vision of true self. So any thoughts of harm are replaced with blessings, and judgment is given to the one whose function it is. So those previously condemned are now resurrected alongside, preparing to meet pure formless awareness of perfect love.
As I previously condemned and now resurrected alongside me, preparing to meet into pure formless awareness of perfect love together. Should we read that from the top again, right?
However, I am not ready to welcome these truths with joy. As long as my evil dreams persist, the thought of victimhood and suffering is real to me. The goal of perfect love's teacher is to awaken minds, replacing dreams with the vision of my true self. Thought of harm is replaced with blessing, and judgment is given to the one whose function it is. The truth about the innocent extension of perfect love is restored, and I have found freedom in embracing perfect love's truth. Those I have previously condemned are now resurrected alongside me as prepared to enter pure formless awareness of perfect love together.
So a state of pure formless awareness together. Yeah, so what's he saying in that paragraph?
I thought I'd just gone through it.
Yeah, so it's the final, we enter together. Just to conclude the whole thing, the resurrection is entering together into this state of pure formless awareness as one united mind with no thought of harm remaining, only blessing. So you want to read the key message? Resurrection is an awakening.
The resurrection is an awakening and a transformation in perception, embracing the remembrance of perfect love and pure formless awareness. It signifies the end of fear and dreams of misery, ushering in a time of innocence, unity, and truth in which I accept my eternal freedom in and as my true self.
Confirmation of my perception. Brought about by the remembrance of perfect love. And into the state of pure formless awareness. Bring me to the fuzzy end of fear. and of my fear and dreams of misery. Sharing a time of innocence, unity, and truth, which I accept my eternal freedom as my true self. Okay, so summary of the key message. Overall summary of the whole thing, your own
It
words.
was just about the resurrection and its awakening and the transformation of our remembrance of perfect love that brings us to this state of pure formless awareness, and it signifies the end of fear and dreams of misery, and bringing us our innocence, and finally accepting our eternal freedom of our true self.
Yeah, the resurrection is the awakening into who we really are as pure formless awareness of perfect love, in summary, and transcending all the dreams of fear and death. Okay, so any other thoughts, comments, or questions on this section? If you were going to answer the question now, what is the resurrection? If I said to you, so what's the resurrection, Elaine? How would you answer that?
Well, it's just it's the end of death and the beginning of our pure formless awareness, entering into that where there's no misery and suffering, and a revelation.
Return. So return of that state of pure formless awareness of eternal life. That's what pure formless awareness is. Return of the awareness of eternal life and the letting go of all dreams of death, whatever form they may take. That's what Yeshua's resurrection symbolized. Symbolized the complete overcoming of the dream of death in all of its forms. So it is possible, even while you're seemingly human, because we're not really human. That's the whole point. You're not really a body. But you have to change your mind to understand that. There needs to be a change of mind. And then we can fit this onto one page. Still not fitting on one page. All right. So happy with that one?
Yes. Yes, very good. Like all of them.
Yeah. You see how the one leads to the other. Yesterday we did what is death, and
Yeah.
what is the resurrection. He never leaves you for very long in the illusions of the ego. He's always giving you the alternative. Okay, so shall we do a meditation to close the session?
Well, a quick one, yeah. Yeah. That's okay, or it's up to you.
Yeah, it's fine, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's great.
All right, 20 minutes, we'll finish at 1:30. So let's jump into the lesson. That going. Okay, so let's do a meditation on today's lesson, 311. So just to start with, making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes, and start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Then breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clenching the sphincter muscle as you do that to lock the energy in. Pull the energy up your spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart to connect with your heart space. Pull the energy up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale, maximum inhale breath. So just now scan your mind, noticing any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on. Particularly anything that feels negative, negative, limiting, contracted, restricted in any way. And you breathe into that. And again, and say, I'll scan your mind and notice any judgments, any judgmental thoughts. Say, I judge everything as I want it to be. So whatever I am judging, that's what I actually want it to be. Recognize that. And the insanity of judgment becomes evident. Well, I'm just choosing this judgment for no apparent reason. Doesn't make any sense to judge, especially if it leads to negative outcomes. Why would I want something to be a negative outcome? Well, it can only be insane. Just the ego wanting some justification for its delusions, its fear, its anger, hatred, and attack, and so on. You realize that you just choose those and judge everything as I want it to be. So if you perceive those outside of you, you perceive them within you. You're really saying, I want reality to be this way. And then, of course, that's how it is for you. Well, reality is determined by your judgments. Judge everything as I want it to be. So just let go, exhale, blow it out. Imagine you letting go of that judgment like a dark cloud or black smoke, leaving you, it's going, gone, leaving your body, your mind, your energy system, dissipating to the nothingness that really is. Blowing it out, the breeze of your breath, it's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And so find a state of non-judgmental, loving awareness, breathing in and out through your nose, observe the breath. Subtle flow of breath into the nostrils and then out of the nostrils, and that will help you to access this non-judgmental state. awareness. State of mind without illusions, and showing the truth is true. So now you're going to breathe in, deep breath in through the nose. Listen to my words as I speak the words of this lesson, and then as I pause, you exhale out through your nose and you repeat the words aloud. And breathing in. So judgment was made to be a weapon used against the truth. Exhale, repeat those words. Judgment was made to be a weapon used against the truth. And again, separates what it is being used against and sets it off as if it were a separate thing. Is what judgment does, separates it out in your awareness. Splits it off from your awareness. Tells you it's a separate thing, and of course that means you must be separate as well from it. The separate things outside of you confirm that you must be a separate identity, which is the whole point. The ego's thought system. Breathing in again. And so then it makes of what I want it to be. Makes this thing you're judging what you want it to be. Breathing in again. It judges what it cannot understand because it cannot perceive totality. And therefore judges falsely. Breathing in again. I will not use it today. Judgment. But rather make a gift of it to perfect love, which has a different use for it. It will relieve me of the agony of all the judgments I made against myself. And re-establish peace of mind by giving me perfect love's judgment of its extension. Exhale. For relieve me of the agony of all the judgments I made against myself. Exhale on the truth of that. Breathing in again. And re-establish peace of mind by giving me perfect love's judgment of its extension. And we establish peace of mind, giving me God's judgment, perfect love's judgment, which is that I'm whole, complete, sinless, innocent, perfect. So into our final prayer, breathing in again. Father, or my source, I wait with open mind today to hear your judgment of the extension you love. I wait with open mind today to hear your judgment of the extension you love. Open your mind, feel into your heart. Breathe in and feel this loving awareness there. Breathing in again. I do not know it, and I cannot judge. I do not know it, and so I cannot judge. Exhale as you repeat those words. And so, therefore, I let your love decide what I, whom you extend as your extension, must be. And so, just rest in that being. You are the extension of perfect love. So there's really nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. Just breathe, relax, be still, and sink into this state of mind beyond illusions. Only the truth is true. Let God's love, perfect love, decide who you are in this moment. Open your mind, open your heart to it. Breathe it in to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Is in the light of perfect love. And you breathe that in. And let this love come streaming into your awareness. Nowhere else to go, there's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and sink into this loving awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love. We call it wholly, completely, deeply. The next minutes of deep silence. And if any thoughts come into your awareness to disturb this, any judgments of another, judgments of yourself, notice that they're quite harsh. They kind of disturb this nice, peaceful awareness. Breathe into them and remind yourself that I judge everything as I want it to be. I'm judging it as I want it to be, which is insane. Why would I want it to be negative? Why would I want to suffer? So I'm willing to let it go. Just let it go. The breeze of your breath, exhale. Blow it out. Imagine you blowing it out and away. Dark cloud or black smoke. Leaving you. It's going, gone. And nothingness that it really is. Submerge into this love. Accept it into your heart, your mind. Part of your mind, every fiber of your being is in this loving awareness. So just gently coming back into this awareness of the body and the breath and the senses in the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale. Smile, scan your mind. Notice any remaining judgments. Anything still there. Remind yourself that judge everything as I want it to be. And so I want only peace now. I change my mind, choose only peace. Therefore, my judgment can only be to let go and allow peace back into my mind. Exhale on the count of two. Notice how the air flows out of your mouth, the chest and the stomach suck back in. The energy you raised up into the crown of your head subsides back down. Your lower stomach and your groin. Your lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest. Just the weight of your body Pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground, noticing what you're feeling with your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smelling your nose. And notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very, very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. State of mind without illusions, which only the truth is true. Anchor the state in, set the intention to stay here for the rest of the evening. And use today's lesson to top yourself up. Just remind you to reconnect with this loving awareness, this peaceful presence. As and when you need to, you can use a breath break. I've sent you to do that if you like. It will help you stay connected to this non-judgmental, loving awareness. That is your true awareness, true self. So it is. So it is said, so it is done. Open the eyes on the count of 3. So just take a minute just to look around, observing various objects in the room around you in this calm, clear, aware state, no judgment. Look at any object, a few seconds, notice this peaceful awareness, which you hopefully access quite deeply. And so just anchor the state in. And close your eyes. You connect with it more deeply when you do that. And open your eyes. Look at something else. Notice the same awareness is there. It's the deeper awareness. And formless awareness. Oh, perfect love. Always there. This lesson is that underlying all of your sense perceptions, this awareness is always there. In the background, our job is just to make it more in the foreground. So actually start superseding our sense perceptions. This peace just permeates everything. And this deeper awareness. And so it is. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and tonight's session. So thank you to Elaine for joining. Making the session possible as always. If you enjoyed this, then do join us for our next masterclass. It's happening next year, early January. Go to theaolg.com to find out more and register for this free masterclass, and also sign up to receive information that I sent you, that I showed you in the beginning of the session on Telegram. I send that out daily to a Telegram group. So go to lifepool.com to do that. Both those URLs are below in the comments box in YouTube. And finally, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you enjoyed this video and you'd like to be notified whenever I go live, which is 6 days a week ordinarily. We're going to be taking a little break over Christmas and New Year for a week, but normally 6 days a week next year of hopefully deep, meaningful, inspired content, then hit the subscribe button. So I hope I'll take the next step to connect, and I hope to meet you soon on the inside. Thanks for listening, and namaste, which means the true resurrected self in me acknowledges and honors that same true resurrected self in you. Peace.